I'm here today with the Reverend Dr. Catherine Wada, co-rector of Epiphany Episcopal Church in Timonium, Maryland. We're going to talk to Catherine today on the topic of how to talk to kids about Easter. Catherine, as a parent of young children, I know that the crucifixion or resurrection story is so central to our faith. In fact, it is our faith. Yet, let's face it, it's gory, it's violent, it's brutal, and we don't want to frighten or disturb our young children when Easter comes around and we see images of crucifixes and Christ on the cross. So can you give us some advice today on how to talk to our kids about Easter?
Sure. I've been thinking about this for a little while because I know other parents at Epiphany have come and asked me that very same thing. And I think it's the best thing we can do is actually start exactly where our children know something. Like what I have figured out is that most 3-year-olds, if you ask them what happens at Christmas, know if they've been coming to church that Jesus was born on that day, and that's why we celebrate Christmas. And if these children have been coming to Godly Play, they know some of the stories about Jesus' life. For example, they know that when he was 12, he and his parents took the long journey to Jerusalem to go to the temple. And he was so taken up with talking to the priests there that he forgot to go home with them, and they thought he was lost, and they got really worried. And then we know that when Jesus was an adult, he was baptized in the river. Most of us get baptized in a font at a church, but when the children gather around the baptismal font and we pour water in, they can tell me that Jesus was baptized in the Jordan River. And then after that baptism, he went off into the desert to talk with God. And that is why we actually celebrate Lent. We do Lent for 40 days, which designates or talks about the 40 days that Jesus spent in the desert. And then when he was finished with those 40 days, he started walking up and down his country, calling people to join him, to talk to him. Children have heard about stories where Jesus healed the sick. He helped people get their eyesight back. He helped people who'd been deaf all their lives to hear again. He helped people who'd never walked to get up on their 2 feet and walk. And then people gathered and he fed thousands of people. The story of the feeding of the 5,000. People call it a miracle. And then he began to talk to people about the kingdom of God is near. God is right with us, as close as we can imagine, maybe as close as breathing in and out. And Jesus asked us and asked those people he was walking with to begin to see God everywhere and to begin to think about changing their lives in a way that they could live in a new way. And as he was doing that, the rulers of the kingdom of Israel, the rulers of the temple, the high priests, got really angry because he wasn't following the law. He was healing on the Sabbath. And they had him arrested. And he went to trial before Pilate, and they killed him. And then a man from Jerusalem came forward and offered a tomb for them to lay his body in. And we celebrate Easter 3 days after Jesus was killed, because on that morning, some people who loved Jesus went to the place where they'd put his body, and they found the tomb empty. And then people began to see from day to day, they would catch glimpses of Jesus, or they met him, or he came into a locked room, or he fed them breakfast on a beach. That's my favorite story in the whole Bible. And they realized that God was really right there, that what Jesus was saying was true, that God would raise him from the dead, and people would see him and feel him in a totally new way. And that's why we celebrate Easter. So you can do that story without all the gore of that crucifixion. Here at Epiphany, we're, for the second year now, doing a program called Let's Explore Easter. It's stations where children can make crosses, they can make communion bread, they can learn about Jesus' life. It's on March the 23rd from 9:30 to 11:30, and starting at 9 before that, we're going to show a video to help children think about communion. So I think you just tell a story. I think that will do it.
Thank you so much, Catherine. This has been very helpful.